Rawson Marshall Thurber directed the 2021 American action comedy film Red Notice, which stars big names such as Dwayne Johnson, Reynolds and Gal Gadot. It quickly became the most watched film when it debuted on Netflix in the first weeks of its release.
Oh good, you're dancing with her.
And also became the most watched film within a month of release on the entire platform. Quite impressive.
That's incredible.
The premise of the movie basically starts with a red notice, the top-level arrest warrant to capture the world's most wanted art thief.
Mind-blowing.
John Hartley, played by The Rock, is the bureau's top profiler and confident he can take on this challenge.
Arrest me.
But tables turn and he finds himself in a situation where he doesn't have any choice but to stick with another infamous art thief, Nolan Booth, to catch an ever bigger art thief known as the Bishop, played by Gal Gadot.
The one scene, it's hard to choose. It's hard to choose.
Can I tell you mine? Can I tell you
the
mine?
dancing scene.
A series of ridiculous circumstances takes the three characters all around the world and makes sure that their fates are intertwined. But it wasn't as smooth sailing as it sounds. There were many ups and downs, so we're here to give you some of the behind-the-scenes facts about the movie Red Notice. But before we begin, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and press that bell icon to get more updates on videos like this one. Now, moving on to the backstage magic of Red Notice. The location. Spanning across 3 continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa, the movie can substitute all the traveling that you weren't able to do in 2020. Red Notice has pretty much stretched the definition of tourism. All around the world, Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Gal Gadot run around trying to find world-acclaimed art to capture or save.
Most of the time we were just trying to crack each other up.
Considering the vast underground networks of art thieves, the film set is pretty much all over the place. The most recognizable locations are Paris, Cairo, Rome, Valencia, and even a Russian prison. Pandemic restrictions. The filming actually began pre-pandemic. It was halted in the middle of March when the whole world stopped due to the coronavirus outbreak.
We came back to shoot as right in the middle of the pandemic.
But was finally resumed all the way in September the same year. But with the pandemic restrictions getting tighter, the trio's globe-trotting adventures become even more impressive to the audience. In reality, most of the shooting actually happened in Atlanta, Georgia, and the Russian prison scenes were actually taking place in Tyler Perry's studio. However, some scenes in the movie were filmed on-site in Rome and Sardinia as well as Paris. So they didn't actually do too much traveling. We think they did because of the great special effects and the realistic sets. The shots seem real enough and far from the studio.
You know, Ryan loves to improv, and I love that.
Another groundbreaking fact about this is that it's one of the first movies to use the first-person drone flying to do cinematography. The cameraman cleverly utilized the drone to capture the trio as they supposedly went all around the world.
When you see the movie, you'll see the scene starts with like my hand on the shift and then driving away.
With a whooping $200 million budget, it's no surprise that Red Notice has some of the biggest A-listers available in Hollywood. The famous cast of Red Notice is what brought it the most attention in the first place. Observant cinema fans will realize that this is not the first time Gadot and Johnson have collaborated on an action film together. They have previously appeared in Fast and Furious 6. But that's not all. Gadot and Reynolds were also co-stars in The Criminal before they worked together in Red Notice.
Look, in a movie like this, you gotta have a sense of humor.
Absolutely.
Give it to the audience.
Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson noticed while filming together that they had a lot more in common than they first thought. Their careers began at the same time. Dwayne Johnson with Scorpion King and Ryan Reynolds with Vance Wilder. They ended up meeting in Cancun with MTV's Spring Break in order to promote the movies. Johnson goes on to say, "We're like an old couple. We bicker and fight, but at the end of the day, of course, we love and respect each other." While Ryan Reynolds mentioned that The Rock has softened and has become more vulnerable now and has cracked open, which works well for him in many different ways. So it's safe to say that the cast already has a good rapport and are familiar with each other and their abilities, which is why there was so much synergy between them in the movie.
I can't get in this car. And he says, "You're kidding me." And I went, "I'm not, dude."
Winning Miss Israel in 2004, Gal Gadot served for 2 years in the Israeli Armed Forces prior to her acting and modeling career. The role that brought her fame was Giselle in Fast and Furious, which was the 5th film in the franchise, and soon after she starred as DC's Wonder Woman. Given the amount of action and danger that's depicted in this film, Gadot's training really came in handy and all of the fight scenes look natural. So her casting for this role was absolutely perfect.
Team. It feels weird in my mouth.
Being in the hot pursuit of some of the most notorious art stealers on the planet, Dwayne Johnson's casting as the famous FBI profiler is equally perfect, portraying his character as the tough as nail, no bullshit agent he is. In fact, the 3 stars were the director's first choice. Before Thurber was even done penning the script, he reached out to Johnson who, surprise, loved the idea. As for Gadot, he flew all the way to London for the role he'd created just for her. Reynolds was the only one who was actually sent the full script, and Thurber was convinced nobody could portray a goofy conman better than him. The stars, all 3, received a mind-blowing $20 million each for their roles.
I loved shooting a chase scene that I had with Dwayne.
It's hard to decide which is funnier, the scripted parts or the bloopers. The cast actually tried to make each other laugh throughout the filming. When asked who the funniest cast member was, everybody gave different answers. Gal Gadot went with Ryan Reynolds, the answer that everybody was expecting, knowing Reynolds' background in comedy films and his generally funny disposition. While Ryan thought that Johnson was the funniest member, looking at Dwayne's eyes and lips twitching as he tried to not break into laughter is what cracked Ryan Reynolds up the most. At the same time, the director, Marshall Thurber, thought Gal was the funniest cast member, considering how charming she was and how she wasn't afraid to laugh at herself. One of Gal's favorite scenes in the entire movie was definitely the dance scene with Dwayne, whom she affectionately refers to as DJ. At first, she was afraid that he'd crush her toes while they danced, but was pleasantly surprised to find out he actually danced really well.
You're a big guy, and my toes are sensitive.
And as Dwayne mentioned, she thought she was going to dance with a buffalo. Little did she know that she danced with a man who is smooth as butter. So her feet were fine, it was her heart that was in trouble. Filmed smack dab in the middle of a pandemic, the film crew also took stringent measures to keep everyone safe. All 800 of the members working on Red Notice regularly underwent nose swabs and COVID tests. So each week, an insane 2,000 tests would be carried out for everyone working on set. The pandemic safety guidelines were all detailed in a 100-page long manual given everyone involved. That will be a wrap for Red Notice behind the scenes. Like if you enjoyed this video and don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more. See you later!